So hi everybody, it's Lolsies from Lolsies Library. You probably weren't expecting like a vlog today. But the reason I decided to do this was because I was writing a particular post about a situation that I found myself in the last month or so. And I realized that even though I have actually written the post, as you can tell because I still posted it today, I felt like I wanted to actually talk about it with you guys because I felt like as I was writing the post, it sounded a little cold and a little bit cruel what I was saying, but that's not what I meant at all. So I thought if I talk about it with everybody, then you might be able to. I can't figure out my hair. I'll have to give it a wash. But anyway, the post, as you probably read by now, was about how, well, by now, everybody who's read my blog knows about how over the Christmas holidays and the New Year's holidays, I ended up losing a few friends. Um, they didn't basically like me calling them out on a couple of things. They didn't really appreciate it, and these were supposed to be like lifelong friends. And ever since that's happened, I've been feeling a little guilty because I haven't really been that sad. And I haven't cried or anything like that, and it's made me feel like maybe there was something wrong with me. Maybe I am this horrible person that they kept telling me I was. Like, we have this in joke now with my friends and family that, like, when I hit my elbow or something like that, like, it must be karma because I'm such a terrible, horrible human being. But I sort of started to feel a little guilty because I haven't really been that sad. I've even gotten rid of a lot of the stuff. I've known these people since I was 12 years old. I've known them like half my life, basically. And I've gotten rid of a lot of their stuff recently, but I've just had this little bit of guilt that I haven't been as sad as I feel like I should be. But then it had started to occur to me the reason I'm not sad is because they're not there. They've never been there. And they've they're not that they've never been there for me when I've needed people. When I wrote the note on Facebook, I thought people were going to get more mad at me that I didn't tell them I was in hospital, and I thought like I was going to die. And I've not been very well since then. I've been getting better, but I just hadn't been very well since then. I thought people were going to get more mad at me that I didn't tell them, but not only did these so-called family sisters not mention that at all, but then they just started having a go, like they just basically called me this horrible human being because in the note I said how I didn't want to be treated anymore compared to what I need in my life right now. And that's the whole thing. They've been treating me badly for like the last couple of years, and it occurred to me that that's part of the reason I'm not sad. They were never there for me to begin with, and that's why I've had so many issues with them. They're not necessarily evil or bad people. They don't know how to be empathetic or sympathetic towards other human beings. Which is where I think a lot of it's always about them. It's where I think a lot of their problems come from. They take no responsibility for a lot of the way they've treated people. I don't think I've heard them ever apologize to anybody. When I think about it, yeah, it's like they've done these terrible things to some people over the years, and they just never apologize. When the problems first started happening a couple of years ago, when one of my ex-friends, she started dating this guy who's abusive towards her, and she lives interstate from the rest of us. So there's basically four of us, myself included, but one of us, the main leader, I guess if you wanna call it, she lives interstate, and this guy has been abusing her, and she didn't trust him to, like, she was doing all this stuff and she didn't trust it. She was doing these amazing things, but she didn't trust him enough to tell him. And I kind of lost her. I said that because there wasn't really anything we could do because we all live interstate. So it wasn't like we could say to, well, if he does that, just come over and hang out with us or whatever. We literally were powerless to do anything about it. So I got frustrated and said, break up with him. You need to break up with him. You're doing these amazing things. You're taking care of yourself. You've paid off this huge debt. You can't tell him. That's not a healthy loving. That's not what love is. That's not what love is. And basically, she said the only reason that she told us all these bad things about him is because when she's single, she gets really jealous of hearing how happy we are if we're in relationships. And considering I was the only single person at the time, I was like, but even if that's the way you think, that's not how I am. I want to hear that you're happy. I want to hear that you're safe. And she was just like, oh, we've clearly grown apart and blah, blah, blah. So then I thought over this last couple of years, she'd want to come to back here. When she came back here, she'd want to hang out with me. You know, she's supposed to be my oldest best friend. But every time she came back here for the last couple of years, she never hung out with me. She hung out with everybody else, including people that she said she didn't even like, over me. And in the end, I just sort of accepted it and just went, whatever, and didn't think too much about it. I'm like, she can't be that upset with me if she doesn't want to deal with it or talk to me about it. So I was really shocked when she accused me of like treating her really badly the last couple of years. But that's part of the thing. That's why I don't feel so bad and I don't feel so sad, because it's like, it's you know, you keep making everything about you. Not one of these girls that attacked me said, you know what, I'm really glad to hear you're not in hospital anymore. And that's what I honestly thought they were going to get the most mad at me about, was being in hospital and not telling any of them, because why would I didn't trust any of them. They've never been there for me when I've needed them. So even though they were like some of my longest relationships, they were also some of the most toxic, because they were never there for me. I realized I had a problem with them when I really didn't want to tell them I'd been in hospital. I didn't trust them enough. I was worried that they were basically going to make it all about themselves, because that's what tended to happen a lot. And I knew I would get very angry about that. I knew I'd be like, this isn't about you. This is about me. So yeah, that's why I feel like in my post, me saying that it's okay not to be sad at the end of any relationship, especially if they're a relationship that never really truly brought in, like, they never really did anything for me, you know, like one of the girls has basically dumped all of us for you know, these are our sisters and family. And they basically dumped us. They didn't even invite us. She didn't even her and her partner didn't even invite us to their birthdays this year. Then the other one is like, she's attacked me so many times, and the other two were always like, oh, that's just the way she is. So apparently that's okay. And then the third one is just like, it's always about her. So none of these girls ever really brought anything to my life. The day after everything initially happened, I was with my partner. The only time I was ever sad, honestly started to get a bit sad, was the day after, when I was watching a Simpsons clip, because with these girls I've always quoted, like, we all grew up with the Simpsons. We know every single quote. My life philosophy is that there's a Simpson quote for every single thing. And that was the only thing I got really sad about, that I couldn't do that. I didn't have that kind of person in my life anymore. And then I realized my partner is that person. After I blocked everyone, I said, that's it, I'm done. This is ridiculous. Like, you're all attacking me. You know, not one of you said, I'm really glad to hear you're not. Like, I still can't get over that. They're all like, you're horrible, but we're not, you know. Not one of them mentioned about the hospital, and that sort of has stayed with me a lot. The kind of people that would call you a horrible human being because you're calling them up on their behavior, and they don't mention your hospital visit. They mention nothing about what they've done. They've taken no responsibility of their actions at all. And that's the funny thing. One of the girls, like, when I said she attacked me, she would do things like, she'd be very passive aggressive. She would leave me out of quotes because she'd just forget to tag me in it and all this sort of stuff. And yet, for some reason, she's allowed to do that because that's just who she is, but I'm not allowed to call people out on their behavior. But yeah, like, I try not to digress, but yeah, but the next day after this all happened and I saw the Simpson episode, I was really sad that I couldn't quote this quote that I really love. And they basically is my quote from The Simpsons. But my partner ended up making me laugh all day. I hadn't laughed that much in that long a time, and it was in that moment that I realized I've never needed these girls. That's the whole thing. They've never been there for me. They've never, when people have attacked me, they just let them do it because that's just who they are, apparently. I don't know why that makes it okay. You might as well just say, well, that's just the way Trump is. That's just the way Charles Manson was. You know, it's like, so what if that's the way they are? That doesn't make their behavior all right. But this is what basically I'm trying to say. It's okay not to be sad at the end of any relationship, romantic, family, friendship, especially when you start to realize that those people never brought anything to life anyway. That's why you're in the position now that you're in, because they were never good people anyway. I'm not saying that they're terrible, horrible people. I just don't think they have any empathetic or sympathetic skills, basically. I don't think they know. Like, I don't know if I've got a blog random thought post of saying how some people know how to do the social media fun life, but not real life. And that's what I think of them. That's what I think of them. They know how to do, like, the appearance. They know how to do the whole, I'm so much fun and I'm such a good person, blah, blah, blah. But they don't actually know how to deal with real life. They don't know how to really deal with people. That's not necessarily makes them bad people. It just means I don't want to be around people like that. Like, I care about other human beings. One of the funniest things that one of the girls said to me was that even though I know you don't wish me the same, I wish health and happiness for you and your family. And it was hilarious because she did that on New Year's. She's like, I'm hesitant to send this on New Year's. I don't know why you'd be hesitant to tell someone on New Year's they're a terrible person, like she told me. But the funny thing was, I just sent her a card saying I wish you health and happiness in the new year, because she really is going to need all the luck and all the help she can get, because that's the other thing. This guy that's been abusive towards her, the other girls have been like, oh, well, he clearly loves you because he stays with you and that sort of stuff. And that was one of the reasons I lost it, because I was like, that doesn't mean someone loves you. It means that they've got nowhere else to go and you're the only one who'll put up with them. So basically, that's the very, very long way of saying it's okay not to be sad and not to miss people when they've come out of your life, because sometimes people just really grow apart. And especially in hindsight, like I remember in year 12 when I came into a room one day and my so-called best friend was imitating me in not a very nice way to impress a guy she wanted to date, but he was gay. So this is my best friend, but I'm the one who's treated her badly. But yeah, so don't feel guilty, because that's been a big problem for me this last couple of weeks, is that I felt so guilty, and it's made me feel like maybe I am a horrible human being. But then I've just I've started to realize that I'm not a horrible human being. I'm just not from, as my grandma would say, I'm not from their tribe at all. On any planet am I from their tribe. And I just hope that, I think people don't let go of toxic people because they think that I'm going to be completely devastated without them. But just remember, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, these girls, I've known longer. My family are the only people I've known longer in my life than these three girls. And I have never felt more free in my life, because I'm not fearing getting judged. I'm not fearful of, like, if I say the wrong thing, I'll get attacked, and, oh, that's alright, that's just the way she is, I'm not in fear anymore. So don't stay in a toxic, any family, friend, romantic, don't stay in any toxic relationship because you're worried you're going to be really, really upset, because chances are you might be sad for a little while, and you might have moments over your life where you're like, oh, they would have found that really funny, but at the end of the day, it's much better for you to let those people go. And really, it's not that big of a loss. It really, really isn't, because people who care about you don't go out of their way to hurt you. They don't go and call you a horrible human being and then block you because you're like, well, what the hell did I ever do to you exactly? So let them go. If they really care about you, they'll come back. I mean, it's like that. If you let them go and they come back, they're always yours. It's just, that's for any relationship. If they come back and they not come back and then go and do the exact same things, but if they come back and they go, let's fix this together, that's great. So yeah, it's okay to not be sad if someone that you've known for a really, really long time and you thought you were really close to leaves and you're not feeling sad. That's okay. It's alright. Don't worry. It doesn't make you a heartless person. It just means that, you did the right thing. That's what I feel like. I wish I had done this earlier. I wish I called them out on their behavior earlier, because I feel like it's like with any bad relationship, I feel like I just wasted so much time with these people who I don't think they know how to actually care about other people. Not saying they're bad, evil, but just they lack those social things where you care about other human beings. They're not going around killing people, being psychopaths. But yeah, they just have a hard time taking responsibility, and yeah, just don't like. Oh, and here's a little advice: if you have a good friend or anybody that you even just a little bit like, say, even if you're mad at them, even if you are really, really seriously mad at them, and they say they went into hospital and they died. My advice, they thought they were going to die. My advice to you is, like, you can say to them, look, I don't like what you've done, but I'm very, very glad to hear that you are out of hospital and that you were okay. That's the proper response. Not, you're a horrible human being for calling me out on my behavior, so I'm going to block you. That's not the appropriate response. Especially if it's someone who's saying, I have anxiety or depression issues, that's why I was in hospital to begin with. That's not a good way to handle that situation, to call them a horrible human being and then just block them so you can't have an actual adult discussion with them. Okay, so that was a bit of a... See, this is why I wanted to do this, because I knew what I was writing was just going to come across as like, she's a bit up herself, isn't she? She's a bit emotionless herself, but I just thought if I did this way that it would be just a bit more clearer about where I'm coming from. Okay, so have a good day. Love yourselves, love each other, be kind, spread love, not hate, and I'll see you when you read my next one. Bye.